This week on Intrigued, full effect.
It feels like my whole world is on fire. I can't sleep. I'm fighting to eat. I'm just fighting to take care of myself for real.
I'm Chandrea Thomas, and welcome to episode 24. In this podcast, I talk about curious cases, disappearances, and other stuff. And today I'm talking about the disappearance of 3-month-old Arianna Day from Roanoke, Virginia. She's been missing since September 11th of 2018. Her mother, Jessica Day, says she stepped out of the bedroom at around 9 p.m. where the baby was sleeping. And when she returned less than 30 minutes later, the baby was gone. Meanwhile, last year, Arianna's alleged father, Andrew Terry, was tried in a Virginia court for her disappearance and concealing her body, but that ended in a mistrial. And now a new trial date is set for Terry later this year. I spoke to Arianna's mother, reached out to Montgomery County investigators, and Andrew Terry's last attorney of record about the case. This is what happened. Jessica Day, thank you for talking with me about the disappearance of your daughter. Is it Arianna?
Yes.
Okay, Arianna, just want to make sure I'm pronouncing her name right. There are a lot of questions surrounding her disappearance and what happened to her. She went missing on September 11th of 2018, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to do is walk through that day and, get into what happened that day. But the first question I want to ask you, just out the gate right now, is this. Did you have anything to do with the disappearance of your daughter? Do you know where she is right now?
No.
Okay. So you've been dealing with, I understand, accusations of people assuming that you've had something to do with the baby, that you've harmed the baby in some way. What would you say to that?
I just feel like, people are going to assume and think what they want to think. I would never harm my baby. I love my baby, and I'm looking for her each and every day. I'm praying that she's returned to me safely. I don't even know where the media even got that I harmed my baby girl from. It's absurd to me.
Mm-hmm. And you do have 4 other kids, right? So you would have 5 total?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get into the situation with Arianna and the adoption stuff later on. But what I want to do right now is let's walk through that date of September 11th of 2018, from the morning until when she disappeared. Tell me about that day. What did you do when you woke up with the baby and all the way up to when you discovered that she was missing?
That day, I'm gonna try my best to walk through that day because it's going on almost 2 years, and that day is a very painful experience. So I'm gonna try to go through it. I woke up that morning because Arianna had a WIC appointment for milk and breastfeeding. And I took her godmother came over, Miss Norman, and took us to the WIC office to get her milk and to get her breast pump ordered. I got back home and her alleged father stops by. He put Arianna to sleep. We didn't talk that much that day. He just came over and put her to sleep for me.
So your WIC appointment ended at what time? And then what time did the father show up? Or alleged father?
The alleged father showed up around 1 o'clock.
Okay. So he shows up at 1 o'clock to visit you and the baby that day.
It's he showed up around 12 or 1. I can't give specific times because it's been a while. He showed up. He sits on the other couch, on the opposite couch from me, and Arianna was looking at TV. Arianna starts to fiercely cry, like something was hurting her. I suggest that she had gas, probably from an overfed, because I think I overfed her because she was vomiting sometimes. She was crying like she had a tummy ache, so I was telling her alleged father that maybe she wanted to eat again, but when I offered her the breast, she wouldn't take it, or she wouldn't take the bottle either. He patted her back until she went to sleep, and then he laid her down on the bed, um, and she was asleep. Um, and then he left. He said that he would come back later.
Okay, so what time do you think he left? How long do you think he was there?
How long do I think he was there?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was there for about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not sure.
Okay, and let me ask you this question too. Was he did he regularly come visit the baby? Did he come every so many days to see her? Did he come see her every day, every month, every or was this
I
like
mean,
was this visit a
again,
surprise to you? Was this visit a normal thing or was it a surprise to you?
it was prior to me. We were arguing because he didn't think Ariana was his. He had doubts or whatever because I was messing with someone else around the time I was messing with Mr. Terry.
Mm, okay. So so
So,
so his visitations with her were kind of sketchy, or was it just kind of like he was checking to see if she was
yeah,
really his?
kind of sketchy because he normally he would come over and me and him would talk, and he would ask me questions. Is she mine? Is she mine? That's all I heard all the time. And he normally didn't spend a lot of time with the baby, but that day he put her to sleep.
Okay. So he leaves after about, let's say, an hour or so. So as you get into the afternoon. So what happens after like 2 o'clock that day?
2 o'clock that day, Ariana was still sleeping. I was walking around the house doing different things, trying to get it clean, trying to just walking, doing daily activities that I do, and watching TV until the kids came home from school.
Okay. So then you get it. So you move your day, your average everyday situation until what, 7 o'clock that night. At what time did she disappear?
Um, Ariana disappeared between 9:30 and 9:35 that night. Um, However, after she woke up, the siblings were home and they were playing with her a little bit. Then the baby's godmother stops over because I leaves my glasses in her car and she drops them off to me.
Okay. So between 7 and 9 o'clock, the kids are playing with the baby, and the godmother comes by. Is that what you're saying? In that time frame, just so
Yeah.
I get an idea of what happened in that day.
Yes, I can't give specific times, but she stops by that day and she drops my glasses off. My kids are playing with Ariana Sketchley. I have her on the kitchen table sitting in the bouncer while I'm washing dishes. And that's because I normally have her in there because my kids are gonna pick her up without asking, or she's out of my eyesight. I wanted to keep her in my eyesight.
Okay. So then you get to the point where you're saying that at what point do you lay her down for bed and you leave the room? What tell me about that and how you discovered she was gone.
I lay Ariana down to sleep. Um, I say about 7:30 or something like that. Me and her both was laying down and I was breastfeeding her. And she finally drifts off to sleep around 8:35, and I leave her on the bed, in the middle of my bed with her pink blankie at the bottom from her stomach to cover her legs, because she had on some pink socks and the pink onesies to match the blanket. I goes into the kitchen and I'm washing dishes, and the alleged father keeps calling me. Um, I called him a few times and we're going back and forth. He's telling me how he don't trust me to believe that Ariana is his, and we were talking about some other stuff, but I can't quite remember. He was talking about I was I was asking him why didn't he trust me that Ariana was his, and he was asking me for a DNA test. And in my head, in my dark ways, I was being selfish. I didn't really want to give him a DNA test. I denied him several times of having a DNA test.
Okay, so you guys are on the phone, you're getting into it about this whole DNA situation and his questions about whether or not the baby is his. So at what point do you end that conversation? Was it a heated conversation? Were you guys arguing on the phone, or was it just kind of your everyday, like him questioning her being the father, him being the father?
It was just disagreements where he was asking me for a DNA test, and I was telling him, why didn't you believe that she yours? I'm telling you, she yours. All you got to do is believe me. And he was like, he wasn't going off no words. He wanted documentation that she was his.
Okay. So you get off the phone with him at what time, and then how do you discover that your baby is missing?
I discovered ARIEANNA'S disappearance between, I think it was 9:45 that night. I noticed that ARIEANNA disappeared.
So what was the first thing that you did? Did you think one of the kids had her, was walking around with her or something, or?
I looked on the bed. The first thing I did was I looked on the bed. Because I kept checking back and forth that night when I was walking through the house and on the phone with Terry. I was walking back and forth because I didn't have a baby thermometer. So, I mean, a baby monitor. So I was going back and forth through the house, checking on her. Then after I got off the phone with him and he was saying that he didn't believe me, that he was the father, I went and sat on the bed to gather my thoughts and to regroup for a little minute. And then something clicks in my mind, like, check on your baby. And when I look back, all I seen was her pink blanket, and I seen her sister at the bottom of the bed. And I'm like, well, how did she get in here? And in 15 minutes, how did she get in here? Like, crazy. So then,
okay, so go ahead.
So then when I realized ARIEANNA was missing, I kind of like panicked a little bit. I kind of like started pacing back and forth through the house. Then I went outside, called Terry a few times. He wasn't answering some. I started pacing up and down the street in front of the house. And then I walked to the store. The store was at the bottom of the hill from my house. It takes like 10 minutes to get there and back. And I got a cigarette. I came back, I was like, dang, I need to call the police. I need to call the police. What am I gonna tell my kids when they wake up? Like, just all kind of things was going through my head. Like, who came to my house and took my baby?
And so, you called the police. How long did it take for you to call the police? Was it just, were you trying to figure out what was going on?
It took me an hour to call the police because I was trying to see who had her. I was trying to think up in my mind, like, where did she go? How did this get past me? How did this?
Wow.
So the police didn't take them long to get to my address. They were there less than 5 minutes.
And so when the police arrive, what happens after that?
They start questioning me. Terry arrives the same time the police does. When they were questioning me, I gave them the wrong times because I'm like, look, I don't know what to say. Like, I want to get my thoughts and my mind right before I talk to y'all because y'all need the right information because my daughter is missing. But it was just so shocking and so scary that night. Like, I can't get it together. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to give the police the right information, but I'm just too in shock. Like, I can't even talk right now.
Let me ask you this. So the other guy who may have been the father, right? Was he ever around? Was he ever in the picture, or was it?
I didn't mean to cut you off, but he was in the picture for. He was in the picture for quite some time. When I first found out I was pregnant with ARIEANNA, I was messing with him and Terry, and then when I found out I was pregnant, I had cut him out of because I'm like, there's no way I'm pregnant by this this older man. There's just no way this got to be Terry's baby. And I had cut him off. I was like, after a month of realizing that I was pregnant, that I had cut him off. So he wasn't around. But I've known him for years. I've known him since 2015 or something like that. I've known him for a lot of years.
Okay. So I'm just going to bounce back really quick. I just want to throw that question there because I was curious. So you talk to the police, so I'm assuming in the midst of you making phone calls, you called the dad and said, hey, she's missing or something. That's how he ends up coming over there? Or how did he end up coming over there that night? Back over there, I should say.
Because I called Terry and I said that Arianna is missing. Arianna is disappeared. I don't know where she is. Somebody came to my house and took her. And he was like, are you this desperate? Are you that and he was just like, are you that desperate?
So the police are there, they're interviewing just you, or they're interviewing you and him?
They're asking me questions around what time did she disappear. They're asking him where did he just come from or something. I remember that. But I gave them as much information as I could, and then we were asked to come down to the station. So I got my kids together and got their shoes and their clothes on, and I headed down to the station. I didn't refuse to go to the station. It was nothing for me to refuse for.
You go down, you do all the stuff with the police, and now they're investigating. So was there any search for the baby? Was there any leads of any kind or anything like that?
They were searching my house. They had it blocked off for hours with yellow tape. I remember sitting at the police station for a whole 24 hours.
I'm sure they were asking you a lot of questions that night. I can only imagine about, what may have happened. So the night that the baby was taken, they just took the baby and nothing else?
Yes.
So when you came in the room, what did you find on the bed again?
She was laying in the middle part of my bed, and when I checked to see if she was there, all I seen was the blanket. And I seen my daughter at the bottom, my 5-year-old at the bottom of the bed.
When you got back, the pink blanket that you had wrapped the baby in that was covering her legs, that blanket was still there, but the baby was gone. They didn't take anything else to wrap the baby, and they just, like, somebody just lifted her up and walked away.
Yes.
Now, what about the locks on your doors of your apartment? Tell me, were you on the first floor, second floor? What was your situation there?
I was on the bottom floor of my apartment. I had a side back door and a front door. I had left my front door unlocked because I thought Terry was coming back that night, because when he left between 12 and 1 o'clock that day, he said that he would come back, and I left my door open for him to come back, because I always knew that he would come back like around like 8 or 9 when he did come back.
Being on that first floor apartment, did you have your blinds open where do you think people were able to really stand outside of your apartment and see what was going on inside of there? Because you said you had like a
I did. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did have my blinds open most of the time because I was peeping outside to see what was going on in the neighborhood. And I always had my living room blinds open.
So someone could easily just observe everything that was going on in your house if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Let me move to another part of this. So where you were living at the time, you were not living in the house. You were actually living at an apartment complex, right?
Yes.
Okay. So did anyone in the complex say they saw anything, anything strange, unusual cars, unusual people in the community that night?
No, the neighbors, from what I heard in the article, or someone was saying that they noticed a unusual black car that night.
Okay, but they just noticed this car, but not anyone in particular or any people associated with the car. Just this black car that was in the neighborhood that night.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know anyone with a black car that fits that?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let me just ask you really quickly, as far as the DNA, was there ever finally a DNA test taken?
I got tired of him denying Ariana, and I eventually went to the child support division place to get it situated and straightened out.
So then the DNA came back as him being the father?
Yeah. No. We didn't make it to that point.
Okay, you never made it to that point. Okay, so at this point, what is your status as far as your relationship with the alleged father?
We don't have a relationship. I call him. He's angry. Well, not so much angry, but he's not talking to me because I lied on him in court and said that I gave him my baby, and I didn't. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is there a reason why did you do that?
Because he had a family already and he was denying Ariana. So I felt like, he could have been more involved with the pregnancy, and, I was telling him that she was his, and it's like he didn't believe me, and I was left to fend for myself while I was pregnant because he didn't believe that Ariana was his. But I can respect that because I was messing with someone else.
At the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I remember when we were talking yesterday, the pre-interview, you mentioned something about someone saying that there was a thought that there were two men who came into your house. Where did that come from?
Later on, after Ariana vanished, this was about, I don't know, a few weeks down the road, where my son and my kids came over to my grandma's house for a visit, and he says, I saw two masked men in the house that night. And I'm like, what, baby? And, I'm like, man, why is he saying this? And he was asleep. I didn't see him awoke that night.
Okay, so that's where that information came from. And so did the police investigate that, or did they do anything with that information, or you don't know?
I called them, told them, and they said that they were way past that or something. They had told me that they were way past that.
Okay. So we'll get into like all the stuff that happened with the alleged father in just a second. I'll say alleged because you're waiting for the DNA has not happened, but I look at the two pictures and you draw your own conclusion, on that. Okay, so now let's get to the part where you were talking to me yesterday. You had mentioned that originally the baby, you're planning on putting Ariana up for adoption. What happened there, and why did you decide to do that, and that position changed?
When I was grown. I was growing to my baby every day, like feeling her kicks, her movements and stuff. She was growing inside of me, and I was feeling it. And it's just that I thought about like the alleged father, like he was denying her and stuff and saying that he wasn't gonna be there. Just had me, because he said he wanted nothing to do with me because he said I was crazy or whatever the point may be. But I went up to Utah, and I'm like, I should do this. This would give her a much more better life opportunities, to give her so much more than I can give her at this moment. I don't know, to the last point where they got to rushing me in the rooms, in the hospital rooms and stuff. They made me feel uncomfortable. Like, sitting in on appointments and stuff. Like, I felt like my privacy was violated. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like they were anxious. They kept talking about inducing my labor and stuff. And I'm like, you should just wait naturally. Like, I'm not finna induce my labor because y'all ready to take, y'all ready to take my baby.
Wow. So at that point, you decided to change. You changed your whole stance on that, and you decided to keep her.
Yeah.
So then you have like you'd have the 5 kids, like 5 total, including the baby, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned too when we talked before that you think multiple people may have taken her. Who do you think would have taken the baby and why?
I don't know. Like, my opinion is anybody. It could be anybody around me. Maybe they didn't want to see me with her. Maybe they were mad because they couldn't babysit her. But it could be anybody. I mean, it could be something. It could be the adoption agency. Maybe they took her and sold her to the black market or whatever the case may be. Pizzagate, black market, all of that. Like, all of that is real.
And so you had actually signed like adoption papers, and you were about to finalize that.
I was about to sign adoption papers. I didn't meet a family while I was up there, but however, I did sign a document saying that the only thing they told me what it had said. I didn't actually read it, but they were saying we want you to sign this piece of paper saying the only thing that we can give you is $4,000 after Arianna is born.
Wow. Okay. That's wow. So but you changed your mind and you decided to keep the baby. You were breastfeeding your baby, so you were bonding. You felt like you were bonding with your baby and all that.
I'm sorry, we had a bond out of this world.
So let's transition. I know it's a lot for you to go through all of this, talk these things all the way through. So I'm going to try to just get through everything so we can have it. So as far as the father, let's get to him really quick. Why do you think he would go through the whole charade of saying that he had the baby, he got the baby in a certain condition, and then went and buried the baby, or whatever allegedly took place? Why would he throw himself into the mix of it is what I'm curious about. Like, why even do that?
I felt like he was under pressure because I did tell the cops that night and I told the detectives and stuff that I said he had her.
So that's where those things came from?
Yeah, I think so. But I can't speak for him. I can only speak for myself. But, I did blame him.
In your mind, what do you have a theory about what may have happened? Like, when you stop and think about everything that took place, do you have your own thoughts about what could have happened?
Yes, I think somebody was watching Arianna and me, every move that I was making, and I believe somebody came in my house and took her and sold her. That's why the police can't find her.
Were there ever any sightings of the baby? Did anyone ever say, oh, we think we may have seen her here or there or anything like that?
No.
Never any more sightings of her. Is your DNA in the NAMUS database and your other family members, just to make sure that in case something, unfortunately is discovered, that she can be identified? Have you submitted your DNA?
Yes, when the police came to my house, I gave them everything. I gave her all her DNAs and everything. But I don't believe my baby is there. Like, who would do that? Like, who would harm my baby? I mean.
Mm-hmm. Did you give them your DNA too, though? I mean, I think it's just as like
they have my DNA.
Yeah, they have your DNA as well.
Yeah, they have my DNA.
Tell me about the impact that this is having on you, your family, your kids. How has your life been since all of this occurred?
It feels like my whole world is on fire. I can't sleep. I'm fighting to eat. I'm just fighting to take care of myself for real.
Mm-hmm. And what about like your other kids? You said you have 4 others, right?
Yes, they were placed with families right now, family members right now.
Okay, so is it because you have to get yourself together, or were they just?
Yeah, until I get myself together and I get stable. I just moved into a 2-bedroom, so I'm getting there, but I'm steady having to go to groups and stuff for my depression and anxiety.
Okay, so you're getting like your treatment and your therapy and things for that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let me ask you about investigators. What are investigators telling you about what they're finding, or where the case stands right now? What do you know? How often do you hear from them?
I really don't know anything. Is that they searched this phone for more data, but I don't know anything. I still don't have any answers. I still don't know what my baby is.
Because I know all the time when these scenarios take place, they look at everybody. So did they I'm assuming they investigated you some sort of way as well, just because you're the closest person to the baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened? They just ran through a bunch of questions with you, and then that was pretty much the end of it? Or did you take a lie detector test? Did you have to do any of that?
Yes, I took a lie detector test.
And what did they say with the results? What did they say?
They said that I was inconclusive on that's what they told my mom. They said that I was inconclusive on a certain question, but they did never tell me what the question was.
Let me ask you this. So you do believe that your baby is still alive. You don't feel that your baby is gone?
Yes, because I mean, who harmed her? And I mean, like, that's the most sickness thing I ever heard. Like, who would come into my house and hurt my baby?
Mm-hmm. If there was one thing that you want people to know about all of this, that you want to clear up, that you want to set the record straight on, is there anything that you need to get out so that people understand right now?
I just want my baby found. I could care less what people think of me. It's not about me, it's about my baby girl. However I will hope that the community help more. I know they've been helping a lot, and I appreciate that. I did not harm my baby. For those who think I did or may suspect that I did, I would never. That is not even in my character. I love all my kids, and my life has been hell without my baby. And I know she's out there somewhere hoping that I find her every day.
What are your thoughts for the alleged father of the baby right now? What would you say to him?
I just want to say I'm sorry for accusing you of taking Ari.
Do you think he is capable of really doing something to the baby?
No, I've known him since we were kids, and no.
What would you say to people who have information about where your baby is? What would you say to them?
Can y'all please return Arianna? Like, every day without her is like hell. It's just hard for me. I want my life back. I know my baby want me. We had a bond. Like, I just need her back. Please have a heart and return my baby. I know you gotta have a heart to return my baby.
Is there anything else that you want people to know or to get out there right now?
Investigators, they came to my house around the anniversary of the disappearance of Arianna, and they were questioning me again, like going over my statements or whatever. And at that time, I was in a very depressive state of mind, and I said something that wasn't true. I said that I harmed my baby, and that's not true. I would never harm my baby. I love my baby, and I miss my baby every day.
So that's information. So, oh wow. So while you were in a state of depression, you made that statement. Why do you think that came out of your mouth to even say that?
I don't know. I hadn't been eating. I hadn't been taking care of myself, and I don't know. And I felt like the police, they were just questioning me, like they wanted me to say, like they pressuring me, like they got something on me or something. Like, y'all don't have anything on me. Why do y'all keep harassing me? Why don't y'all just find my baby?
Have you ever heard of anything like that happening in your community before? Like with anyone else, with like people just taking kids and stuff?
Not that I know of, because I wasn't really big on the news and TV and stuff. I don't like to hear about and watch stuff like that. So I try to stay away from the TV.
I'll ask you this last question. If there was a message that you would like to get to your daughter, say to Arianna, she's what, how old now? She'll be 2 pretty soon, right?
Yes, and I've missed Arianna. I've missed holidays, birthdays. I've missed every day with you. It is so heartbreaking that your presence is not near, that your light is not shining in my world with your siblings. I love you, baby girl. And I hope you see this one day so you can see mommy is looking for you.
How are you making it through your days?
I've been trying, like I just picked up a new hobby, like crochet, and I don't get to see my kids often, so I'm making each one of them a blanket right now, so that's kind of helping me right now.
How old are your other kids?
They are 12, 9, 7, and 5.
Do you have a message for all the people in the community who have backed you, who have been trying to help you, who have supported you through all of this? What would you say to them?
I just want to say thank you guys. It means a lot. And I'm hoping that somebody sees this video so they can return my baby. And to all the people that bash me, God bless.
All right, Jessica Day, thank you so much for talking with me today. And it's a lot for you to it's a lot to hear, and I can only imagine it's a lot to deal with and manage every day. So thank you for sharing your story with me, and for everyone, giving people the opportunity to really hear more of what you had to say. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you interviewing me.
When it comes to my final thoughts about the case, there are plenty of questions. The first is, where is Arianna? And why did the alleged father tell investigators that he buried the baby's body in the first place, then led police to a fake burial site? Media reports also say that Terry claimed he picked up the baby battered and bruised from the mother's house. Meanwhile, new reports say Roanoke police recently issued a new search warrant on Terry's cell phone that can potentially lead to more evidence about Arianna's whereabouts. At the same time, the mother, Jessica, is accused of knowing or doing something to the baby while facing constant scrutiny. She allegedly gave multiple accounts of what happened on the day of the disappearance. Everything from saying the baby was kidnapped by an adoption agency, smothered while breastfeeding, even given away to a relative, and injured during a fall. And I did ask Jessica about those accusations. She only confirmed that she told police the stories about the baby falling and the rollover during what she called a depressive state of mind. She also says that she never heard anything about her baby being beaten and that she was being pressured into saying things that weren't true. Now, with all of these scenarios, I can't help but wonder if it's actually possible that someone stalked Jessica, stole the baby, and sold her. She did say her blinds were always opened and her door was unlocked, and that's something to think about. According to Jessica, the baby was originally supposed to go up for adoption, but she changed her mind. A recent Facebook post from Roanoke Police says they're still investigating and following up on leads in the case. Montgomery County investigators did respond to me and sent details about the case and Andrew Terry's mugshot. As for Andrew Terry, his new trial is set for April 1st and 2nd of this year in a Montgomery County Circuit Court. I reached out to his last known attorney of record and never got a response. Whew. Okay, so there's a lot to unravel with this story, and I hope that this interview can somehow help police figure out more about what happened to Arianna. She will be 2 years old on May 28th. If you have any information in this case, call the Roanoke Police Department at 540-853-2212. If there's a case that you want me to check out, just message me on the Intrigued Full Effect website or via email at intriguedfulleffect@hotmail.com. Until next time, be safe and stay true. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the Intrigued Full Effect, Curious Cases, Disappearances, and Other Stuff podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the host. The primary purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. The host of this podcast assumes no liability or responsibility for any activities in connection with opinions shared in the podcast. The podcast and blog associated with it shall not be used in any legal capacity or as a basis for expert testimony. Any copyright material in the podcast is approved by the owner or is part of the public domain. Music by Pond 5.